is Food Stories.
This is Food Stories.
This is Food Stories, a podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester.
A podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester.
A podcast from FareShare Greater Manchester. Hello and welcome to Food Stories, a podcast series from FareShare Greater Manchester. FareShare is a food distribution charity leading the fight against food poverty and minimising food waste in this part of the northwest of England. I'm Lindsay and I work in the development team for FareShare Greater Manchester, and I've been given this wonderful opportunity to share a bit about what we do here. This time the focus is on volunteering.
My favourite bit is when the food comes into the warehouse and you can then have the opportunity to sort out all of the food, put it into parcels, put it on the shelves, record the goods in bit. And that's very, very enjoyable for the variety of the day. And you can see that no two shifts are ever the same. I think that's the beauty of it. There's not an opportunity to get bored.
I get here pretty early in the morning. We load up the van with anywhere between 4 and 6 drops, and then we go out and deliver the food. And at the end of that morning shift, I actually go and do a charity pickup from Costco, and then we bring all that back. I load it back into the store, and then reload in the afternoon for another set of deliveries. So we tend to do somewhere between 8 and 10 a day.
There's lots of different people from all different backgrounds that are volunteering and working at FareShare, but we all have one purpose, and that is to provide food and to feed people and food waste. So I get that teamwork feeling, love the teamwork.
Last year at FareShare Greater Manchester, our amazing army of volunteers contributed more than 21,000 hours of their time to help us do what we do. All of that volunteer time meant that we were able to divert 4.6 million meals worth of surplus food from going to waste. Those figures again, 21,000 hours of volunteering helped us provide 4.6 million meals to the people of Greater Manchester. In this episode, I'll be introducing you to our head of volunteering, Liz Lauder, and some of our volunteers as well. We're even going out on the road to Newton Heath on a delivery round. But first, a word from our CEO, Lucy Danger.
Volunteers are absolutely critical to what we do. We couldn't run the operation without them. We have some incredible people, lots of incredible people that are students, both undergraduates and at higher levels of degrees, etc., and doctorates. We have people that are seeking work. We have retired people. You know, we've got a guy who was the national trainer for HMRC. We've got people that have been head teachers. We've got all sorts of people across the breadth of the population. Really, we get younger people occasionally who are thinking about what they're going to do next and want a bit of work experience. And actually, it's kind of a beautiful thing, really, because you've got this real mixture of people coming together. But yeah, volunteers do pretty much everything within the organisation, and we're extremely grateful for their amazing input.
Liz Lauder is our head of volunteering. She has the job of recruiting volunteers and making sure everyone has a role that suits them best. She says there are many different volunteering roles available at FareShare Greater Manchester.
There's roles in the warehouse, out on the teams, driving teams if they want to be out and about in Manchester. There are office roles, there are development roles, so there's quite a range. And we're also open to some creative roles because there are volunteers that are keen on photography, keen on writing, and those are just little avenues that different volunteers can take up once they've settled. So I think there's a broad range.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a real spectrum on offer for, anybody really.
Yeah, you can start with one area. As I said, they're the main areas, the core roles that we need within operations, but then we find that there's there are other things that we need support with, and as volunteers come with their own skills, it's, just makes sense to use that and have them enjoy what they're doing.
What kind of qualifications do you need to be a volunteer here?
I'd say skills. So it's either skills that can be IT related, it can be people skills, it can be, as we say in the warehouse, spatial skills because of the storage of the food and pallets and so on. People skills in terms of getting on with. We have a diverse range of people, so it's just about getting on with somebody.
Teamworking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What kind of age range are the volunteers here, and what kind of backgrounds do they come from with regards to professional life and such like?
We have such a broad age range, so generally from 18 to 80s. So it's about being active in terms of, as somebody might be an older volunteer, and that's fine. In terms of skills, we have volunteers who might be learning their English, refugee and asylum seekers. We have volunteers who are young people not able to get into work at the moment, so they're looking for work experience, and also people from various professional backgrounds. Some of them are retired. We have retired GPs, project managers, to different admin roles. There's just been such a plethora of different volunteers coming in. It's so wide. We have people who work internationally, and I think that's, it's marvellous that they can be back home yet wanting to volunteer. Okay, so yes, it's the widest range, and I think that's because everyone who's here can understand the difficulties of either struggling to get food or not having food. So it just brings such a diverse range of interest into our FareShare operation.
The vast majority of our volunteers are based here at our headquarters on New Smithfield Market in Openshaw. Most have roles within our warehouse, either processing deliveries or picking and packing orders.
So today we've got potatoes, oat milk and green beans, which we'll have to go into the chiller for.
Laura Clays is one of our warehouse volunteers. She's been with us for 2 years after a work relocation brought her up north.
I moved to Manchester from London, where I'd been a librarian in London, working in academic libraries, which is all about organisation of materials and things like that. And so we were happily living in London, and then we came to Manchester as part of my husband's job. And then while we were living here, this is a bit of a long-term thing of events, but my father died in Norfolk, and he had done a lot of driving for various charities. He'd been over COVID delivering food parcels, things like that. And at his funeral, the money, instead of flowers, went to FareShare. We'd said to people, could you volunteer the money? And it got me thinking, money is a wonderful thing and it's good to donate money, but actually what is valuable would perhaps be your time. And at that point I thought, well, I have got some time at that point, and it started me his funeral was in January, and I think I came in the February, and have been here ever since.
Oh, that's wonderful. What a lovely kind of legacy for your dad.
Well, yeah, that is a nice thing to think, well, actually you are continuing on something that he was doing, not as part of an organisation, but to come and be helping out.
And what do you do here at FareShare Greater Manchester?
Well, this is the question, where every day is completely different, and you can't have a set day. So when I first came, I had a wonderful introduction, and we were putting food into containers and then they were sent out. But after a while, when you've got into the flow of things, you realise that there's a lot more going on than you can first see when you first arrive, because it can be a bit overwhelming to the amount of food available. So now I've been out with a driver and I've been to some of the food partners that we visit. I've been to FareShare Plus. My favourite bit, which I was going to say my favourite bit, is when the food comes into the warehouse and you can then have the opportunity to sort out all of the food, put it into parcels, put it on the shelves, record the goods in bit. And that's very, very enjoyable for the variety of the day. And you can see that no two shifts are ever the same. I think that's the beauty of it. There's not an opportunity to get bored ever, because you're always active and doing something, and the time goes very, very fast.
I got the chance to go out on the road with Nick, one of our volunteer drivers. We went to deliver to one of our community food members, Briscoe Lane Community Centre in Newton Heath. On the way, Nick and I had a chat about how he first got involved with FareShare Greater Manchester.
I've got a very good friend of mine who was already working here, and he said that they were short of drivers. He doesn't drive. He said they were short of drivers, and I was looking to do something one day a week, because I don't work anymore. So I do every Monday. Occasionally, if they're short, I've said, please give me a call, and if I can, I'll come in on another day, but at the moment I just do one day a week.
And what's the role like? Is it very varied, or, tell me a bit?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I get here pretty early in the morning. We load up the van with anywhere between 4 and 6 drops, and then we go out and deliver the food. And at the end of that morning shift, I actually go and do a charity pickup from Costco, and then we bring all that back. I load it back into the store, and then reload in the afternoon for another set of deliveries. So we tend to do somewhere between 8 and 10 a day.
And what do you get out of it, the volunteering?
For me, it's all about food waste prevention. I see from the news and TV how much food gets wasted in this country, and it's scandalous, to be honest. I read a stat the other day. Apparently there are more food banks now than there are McDonald's in the country, which is staggering and pretty daft, isn't it, really?
And what was your background before you gave up work?
I was a director of a company that specialised in selling software to the local authority marketplace.
So completely different from what you're doing
Absolutely.
now.
The only similarity is I spent a lot of time driving on the road.
What would you say to somebody who's maybe thinking of joining FareShare and doing something similar?
Yeah, have a go. I mean, I've got a few friends who I've mentioned it to, and they're both sounding fairly enthusiastic. It's great fun. It's not very challenging work, and at the end of the day, the people you're delivering to are eternally grateful.
Yeah, it's very, very worthwhile.
It's got a feel-good factor about it. Absolutely, 100%.
Telling me what you've got on your trolley.
Yeah, so most of these kind of places like frozen meals, prepared meals, because their clientele tend to have fairly limited cooking facilities. So we've got small pizzas, we've got little cottage pies, mostly pre-cooked. Also some frozen stuff, which is obviously better from a longer term perspective. So in here we have macaroni cheese, frozen. Right, that'll do. I don't go any higher.
No.
Hello ladies.
Hiya.
This is Lindsay. She wants to interview somebody here.
Hi.
Hi. Is there anybody here? Oh, hello.
Hi.
You're back.
I am. I've been back ages, but it's not while you've been here yet.
You all right?
Not really, no, half and half. I'm getting there.
Good, good.
Hopefully.
Well, if there's anybody to speak to about this place, this is the lady. This is Sandra, this is Lindsay.
Hello, Sandra. Hiya. Thank you very much.
I was just going to do something then for FareShare, actually. My name's Sandra Whittaker, and I'm the managing director of this business.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do you do here?
We're a community centre, so we open up several times a week, and sometimes by appointment, and sometimes we have group sessions, and we have a food session on a Monday.
And where does the food go that we bring here?
The food goes to people who are in need in the community. We serve up to 50 people per week. We like to get rid of our food on the day. We don't really store food as such. We don't cook food or anything like that. We just give it out. We don't charge for food because I factor that into the funding, so they get it for free.
So without FareShare, you wouldn't be able to offer this then?
No, we wouldn't be able to offer it, and we couldn't rely on other companies to donate as much as the need has grown since the pandemic. It's an absolute growing need. We've doubled in the asking for food, and people, not having sufficient funds of their own, to be able to shop and feed the families. But we have a wide range of people who come from all different types of backgrounds. So there's single people, there's people who are homeless, there's families, and we have some really large families, and we serve extended families as well. So in some instances, different generations come here, 3 generations can come here at a time. We do it. Our eldest person that we deliver to, because she's a vulnerable elderly female, is 93, and I think at 93 really it's quite sad that she's dependent on this to help her and her grandson.
Not all of our community food members get deliveries. Those who have their own transport can come into the warehouse to collect their orders themselves, and others are members of FareShare Plus, our community cash and carry. One of our regular FareShare Plus volunteers is Sally.
When the food comes over to us, we will sort the food out in terms of dates and use by and best before, but more than that, we'll look at how many CFMs we've got coming in that day, and then we make sure that we've got enough food so that they will be able to get a fair share of it. So that's one of the first things we'll do. Then when the customers start arriving, we go around with the customer, and that's the best bit, and I think the most humbling bit for me really is talking to them, what they're doing. They vary from food banks to small community cafes to very large sort of food pantry providers. Some of them will do catering, and if they have got catering facilities, then we can talk to them about what we've got over there that would be suitable for them. But it's talking to them about what they're doing when they go back with the food that we're providing, and seeing that whole story of where the food's going, what's important, what they want, and also getting to know the variety of that come into us, because we have some where they can only take vegetarian or halal. So that's the bit I really love. And now I know quite a lot about a lot of the charities and their families, and just thinking, wow, what a good job they do.
What do you get out of your role here?
There's lots of different people from all different backgrounds that are volunteering and working at FareShare, but we all have one purpose, and that is to provide food and to feed people and food waste. So I get that teamwork feeling, love the teamwork. My core strength has improved. So physically, if you want to improve your strength, this is the place to do it. So that's improved. It's the interaction. I think, Lindsay, as you know, I do like talking to people and finding out people. I'm very curious. I like to know what's going on. So I get that side of it. But also, and so I feel like I'm doing something very, very worthwhile.
Volunteering has many benefits for both our volunteers and for us and the wider community of Greater Manchester. Without our volunteers, we simply couldn't do what we do, but it's a mutually beneficial arrangement, as Liz Lauder explains.
I'd say it was that sense of well-being that is so unexpected. I think volunteers come in with a sense of, I'm going to help this environmental or this community issue, and not realise that the wonderful impact it can have on them. So well-being is something that we talk about in the workplace, but I think volunteering is the place where you can improve your well-being just engaging as a volunteer. It's mind and body. Some people come in with like low-level depression, they feel isolated, but it's just one of those things that lifts you because it takes your mind off your own problems, knowing that you're helping someone else or some other family. So I think well-being is important in volunteering. And also it's the physical side of it. The fitness levels go through the roof. Can trim your waist a few inches. And also it's that sense of being with others, you know, and sharing in that. What is a serious issue out there, but sharing in that, you know, as a group on your shift, you work with these fantastic people and you did well for that shift, so you can, you know, go home feeling satisfied. And that's something we can't put on the role description. It just happens. It's part of the impact.
If you've been inspired by what you've heard and fancy finding out more about volunteering with FareShare Greater Manchester, please get in touch with us. You can apply on the FareShare Greater Manchester website or give us a call on 0161 223 8200. That's 0161 223 8200. Next time on Food Stories, we'll be visiting one of our community food members and seeing where some of our food actually ends up. Until then, thanks very much for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with anyone you think may benefit from hearing it. And if you're able to, please leave a rating and review on your podcast app as well. That way more people will be able to find out about FareShare Greater Manchester's food stories. Until next week, thanks for listening.